to the organizers. So sorry for that inconvenience. So, by the way, no, again, I am Miss Saiblan A. Ramirez. I am currently the program head of the BS Tourism Management Department in Colegio de Santa Rita de San Carlos Incorporated. And I currently work as the regional advisor in Western Visayas in Junior Tourism and Hospitality Management Association of the Philippines. Now, I know some of you have already heard about JTMAP. I think some of you here are also members of JTMAP as well and has been with us in our recent regional caravans and national membership caravans. No, but just to give a brief background on what JTMAP is, that association, for those who are still new to JTMAP, that association actually provides us with opportunities to help students like you in the hospitality and tourism industry become future tourism leaders. No, and hopefully this coming March we'll be having our regional caravan as well. And for some who are not yet members of JTMAP, you can participate in the Central Visayas na region. Since I belong in Western Visayas, no, but there is someone that is assigned to your region that will also, help you become members of our association. So anyway, enough of that. Again, thank you so much to the CTU-Danao campus for having me this afternoon as I talk about the hospitality industry in the time of COVID-19. Learn, live, and adapt in the new normal. So, you just, you can have like a view of my presentation. Okay. So this afternoon, I will be talking about several practices that can help the hospitality industry adapt in the new normal, knowing that just recently, this February, we opened the tourism industry to international tourists from visa-free countries who are also vaccinated against COVID-19. And we are moving towards the recovery of the tourism industry. When back in 2020, we were greatly affected by the pandemic. There were a lot of jobs and businesses that had to close down because of the pandemic, because there were a lot of travel restrictions at that time. So, for us to fully understand first how COVID 19 greatly affected the tourism industry, let us try to see how um, this following um, data provided from DOT and PwC presented on the impacts of COVID-19. So way back in 2019, we had a record-breaking of 15.24 increase in foreign tourist arrivals in 2019. So that was actually like the peak of the tourism industry at that time. But because of the pandemic, there was a sudden decline in tourist arrivals in the first few months of 2020, with 73% decline. That dropped down into at least 1.3 million tourist arrivals only. And not only that, the COVID-19 also had a great impact on our tourist receipts in the first quarter of 2020. That declined to at least 85 billion pesos, and that resulted to at least 36% lower than the revenues in the same period in 2019. So it was really quite alarming, no? We never really expected that that would really hit the tourism industry. And again, as I've mentioned earlier, there are a lot of jobs that were lost at that time. Businesses had to temporarily or permanently close because of travel restrictions. We were very immobilized. We were not able to um, open and provide tourism products and services at that time. So because of that, PwC Philippines together with DOT conducted a survey together with the 247 rather decision makers across the different subsectors. Let me just minimize this. Okay. Different tourism subsectors in the Philippines last May 2020, because they had to fully understand how great of an impact COVID-19 is to the tourism industry, not just to the tourism arrivals and also to the tourist receipts. So out of the 247 um, participants in that survey from PwC and DOT, 78% of them said that they had to temporarily stop offering a product or service due to current restrictions. And 61% said that they had to temporarily stop offering a product or service due to lack of demand. So again, um, there were a lot of restrictions in travel. We were advised to stay at home. So there were no tourists at that time, no, and we had no choice, no, we really had to temporarily close our business, no, or different businesses in the tourism and hospitality sector. And 44 out of the 247 um, participants or decision makers from different tourism related businesses said that they had to reduce the level of operations and had to reduce the employee headcount to save on cost. It's because they cannot keep up with different operational costs in their business, and there was no revenue coming in, no, and they had no choice, no. In order to cut on costs, they had to lay off some employees. So that's why there were a lot of people who lost their jobs at that time. So they also had to prepare a business continuity plan. Back in 2020, we had no idea when the pandemic would end, and we had no idea if it would be safe to operate or to open again. No? So businesses had to take a first step onto making a continuity plan just to stay afloat, no? Just to sustain. So other businesses, they also had to defer expansion plans and canceled a planned investment. Others availed loans or funds from external sources. In fact, the DTI even presented loan opportunities for um, small, micro, and medium tourism related businesses, no, because we were really struggling, no, we rely on our tourists, on different stakeholders for our industry to thrive, and we cannot do that previously, no, during the start of the pandemic because we had to stay at home. And also, no, a lot of businesses had to temporarily offer goods and services in a different platform, no, or to change their product to adapt to the current needs of our customers. So because since they had to stay at home, you see restaurants offering takeouts or delivery services so that they can cater to customers. No, I remember there is even a restaurant in LA wherein they're famous for their ramen, and instead of inviting customers in because they can't do that during the pandemic, so they had to repackage their ramen into like DIY sets so that the customer can just assemble the ingredients of the ramen at home, no, so they don't need to go outside anymore and eat in the restaurant. So they had to transform their product so that it can meet to the current needs of the customer. And 7% said they had to use the property or other purposes to generate revenue since again, no, they had no other choice, no, they had no other source of income at that time. Well, 3% availed loans and funds from existing shareholders. So that is from the result of PwC Philippines together with DOT when they first started this survey way back in May 2020, no? Because they really had to fully understand how great of an impact COVID-19 is, no? And what can they do? Like after they have gathered, data, and also they've gathered the current situation now of the different tourism related businesses, they had to develop a continuity or tourism recovery plan out of that. So from their survey, they also discovered that it's not only um, operational cost or laying off of employees are the main concerns of those who belong in the tourism industry. Others were also suffering from productivity loss, due to remote working. And we have to admit, we were really struggling. We were really grasping at the start of the pandemic because we were not built for remote working. No, even us in the academe, no, even you as students would agree with me that when we started this online distance learning, when we started this like work from home setup, we were really struggling. Why? Because we lack the capabilities, we lack the resources to do work from home setups. No, we were really struggling with the internet connection. We were really struggling with what are the equipment or resources that we need to use. No, so out of the 247 participants, 33% said that they had a huge productivity loss due to lack of remote work capabilities. Like they were not productive at all. No, even though they still can continue. for those who are fortunate enough to continue at that time, they were still struggling to work because they were not productive enough at home. You know? 29% also said that there was a change in staffing due to low or slow demand. And 27%, like I've said a while ago, there was a lot of separation of staff or layoffs because, again, they cannot keep up with the operational costs. And again, there was no revenue coming in. Where can they get the money to pay the salary of their employees? So they had to really cut off on their staff. So 2% said they had insufficient staffing to accomplish critical work. That's the result of separation of staff. So they're really less productive at that time because they had fewer staff, because there was little budget or funds at that time. And 2% has higher demand for employee protection. So those were the following data that DOT and PwC gathered, and that helped them into developing different recovery plans, and also to develop a continuity plan as well, so that they can help out different tourism-related businesses. So Fitch presented a post-COVID forecast, wherein it's a presentation on where the tourism industry can gradually recover after 2020. It's not as big as the previous years, but at least they have forecasted that the tourism industry can gradually recover and bounce back in 2021, 2022, even in little amounts. So DOT and TPB and other tourism sectors were really quite hopeful to that. And they had made countless efforts to they made countless efforts to campaign for So they made countless efforts to campaign for tourism recovery, and also they gathered together with different like shareholders and with different the tourism sectors, so that they can truly prepare the Philippines to welcome guests again, and to also make our stakeholders feel safe to travel back in the PH. So back in April 2020, DOT launched a campaign, which is Wake Up in PH. This was inspired by the United Nations World Tourism Organization's Travel Tomorrow campaign. Wherein this said campaign was to inspire people to dream of traveling to beautiful destinations and to travel in the Philippines when it's safe again. But before we can travel tomorrow, we must be prepared for today. So here is an example of their Wake Up in PH campaign back in April 2020. So that is Wake Up in PH campaign by DOT. So again, the main focus of DOT at that time was we have to really prepare, for us to be open again to guests, for us to be ready again, to welcome them. If it's safe to travel again, we have to really prepare today. And TPB actually launched several tourism recovery campaigns last September 2021, wherein they presented like several videos in YouTube. I don't know if you have attended the recent webinar from PWU, wherein the head of TPB presented a lot of practices, no, and also a lot of their efforts in order to recover and rebuild the tourism industry. So one of that is Safe Trip Pinas, no, and they had a series of videos. Actually, I only took one from the accommodation sector, but they had like a longer video which lasted like 1 minute and 28 seconds, no, that presented all the health and safety protocols and what are the different tourism hospitality sectors are doing to ensure the health and safety of the guests, no, and that is like one way of preparing the tourism industry for our tourists to travel tomorrow, no, that's how we prepare now, no, and it also rebuilds and recovers trust to our stakeholders, because that's one thing that they are looking for, no. I don't want to travel to a country wherein I don't feel that it's safe, or the tourism industry is not ready. I want to make sure that when I travel, um, they have adhered to different health and safety protocols. They had different like standards already, or they had set no, they had met already standards provided by like DOH or DOT or World Health Organization, so that I can feel that it's safe to travel. So TPB launched this recovery campaign to show that these are the things that the tourism and hospitality sector are doing to ensure that you are safe when you travel in the Philippines. Okay, so that is Safe Trip Pinas from TPB. If you want to watch more of their tourism recovery campaign videos, you can find them in the official YouTube channel of Tourism Promotions Board. Now, of course, since we are gearing up for tourism recovery, just this month, we already opened our country, rather, no, our tourism industry to foreign tourists. So there are several destinations in the Philippines now who have cautiously reopened to tourists because they have already um, met the standards set by DOT. You know, they already have the certification to operate, and they have followed health and safety protocols, no, and standard, no, quality service. So two of those top-notch destinations that reopened last October 1, 2021 were Baguio and Boracay. Okay, so I did made mention a couple of times na we reopened just this month, no, last February 10. Actually, it was um on December, no, last December, but because of the threat of Omicron, no, we had to, or the DOT had to push through February 10, 2022. So we are really gearing towards or preparing towards tourism recovery, no, rebuilding the tourism industry. Now, of course, when we talk about rebuilding, that includes a lot of preparations. No, DOT set standards that are not easy to attain. No, it may look easy, no, but it takes a huge amount of time and resources for hotels to fully adapt to the new normal, no, such as protocols, and again, to be granted a certificate to operate. So for you to be granted a certificate to operate by DOT, of course, you have to promote cleanliness and quality service, no, and really follow strict implementation of the health and safety protocols. That's the number one focus always of DOT and TPB in their tourism recovery campaign. No? Sanitation, cleanliness, health and safety protocols. So let's try to look at the different sanitation and cleanliness protocols that has to be set in the different hospitality sectors in order to be ready for the arrival of our guests, no, especially from other countries. So first is during arrival, no, PPE or personal protective equipment such as face mask and face shield are required. There's also a mandatory temperature check at the hotel entrance. Guests must sanitize footwear and hands at the entrance, and trained hotel staff will disinfect luggage. So one thing that can also rebuild the trust and confidence of our stakeholders that they feel it is safe again to stay in the hotel is that you make sure that your hotel staff knows what they're doing. They are trained to handle, no, different guest belongings, not just like way back in pre-pandemic days we were taught that, no, but there is an increased measure na, especially right now that we're in the midst of the pandemic, especially in disinfecting and sanitizing, no, so we have to be really trained to do that. And then of course gone were the days that we have to like embrace or do beso beso, but we don't do that in the hotel, no, or we shake hands because social distancing is now strictly implemented in the new normal. So let us greet in the Filipino brand of service way, which is the mabuhay gesture. Usually you see this a lot in other hospitality establishments and even in banks. I saw some employees there, no, implemented the mabuhay gesture. So it's one way of still making the tourists or our guests feel that they are welcome. No, it's one way of expressing the Filipino hospitality, and also making sure that we follow strict health and safety protocols by greeting them in the mabuhay gesture. So you place your right hand over your hearts and put the sweetest smile. So even though that they can't actually see our smile behind the mask, no, we can even just smile with our eyes, diba? We take how Pia works back and Tyra Banks, no, the smiles. So they can truly see that you're very happy to serve them. They can really truly see that in your eyes because you're smiling with your eyes and you're doing the mabuhay gesture. So that's one way of greeting the guests once they enter the hotel premises. Okay, upon guest check-in, it's also important that a health declaration form must be completed. And since again, no, we are open to fully vaccinated tourists, so they also need to present their vaccination card. No? Sanitized or single-use pens are also provided at the front desk. There are also new innovations class that hospitality industry is taking in, which are, of course, the QR codes and contactless transactions, contactless communication, so that you can avoid person-to-person contact. No, other hotels are making use of QR codes so that you will no longer, fill out a printed form. Rather, you just scan a QR code and then fill out using your smartphone. That's one way of also minimizing like transmission. Safety kits are provided, which may include alcohol or sanitizer, disinfectant sprays, face masks, disposable gloves, and tissue. Key cards are sanitized before handed out. There are some hotels class are into sophisticated technology. They usually make use of like Bluetooth. Or you can unlock your hotel room using Bluetooth, or later on I will also discuss technology, the adoption of technology in the hospitality industry, wherein there are um, apps where you can connect with the hotel system, no, and you can avail different hotel services with just your smartphone. So no other hotels can do that, no. So others, if they haven't invested to that kind of technology, they can stick with sanitizing, making sure that the key cards are clean, they're sanitized before they're handed out to the next guest. So contactless transactions are also encouraged but not limited to check-in and check-out. Okay, sanitation in public lobbies, no? Like in or public areas, public areas like lobbies, restrooms, halls, corridors, and elevators. So it is highly important that all high touch points in public areas must be sanitized thoroughly by the prescribed cleaning materials set by DOH and World Health Organization. In fact, in other hotels, you see class that there are like tissues or disposable gloves just beside the elevator door. No, we're in. You can make use of that. So before you touch like elevator buttons, no, at least you can make use of gloves and tissues. No, sanitizers are placed in various public areas so that you can constantly sanitize your hands anytime and anywhere. Floor markers with 1 meter distance are in place to ensure social distancing at all times, and safety reminder posters such as proper hand washing, maintain social distancing, respiratory etiquette, proper use of mask are highly visible in all public areas. As for housekeeping, so of course, no, hindi naman basta-basta anyone from hotel staff can enter your room, but there has to be a trained hotel personnel, especially in the housekeeping department, that will handle the disinfecting and sanitizing of the different like amenities inside the hotel room. So trained hotel personnel conduct room cleaning in full PPE using medical grade cleaning materials. And right now, no, hotels are investing into enhanced technologies when it comes to cleaning, such as electrostatic sprayers, HEPA filter, no, or high efficiency particulate air filters, UV lighting system. So that's why it would take a very long time for the room to be available for the next guest, because they had to really take the time for to thoroughly disinfect everything, no, and they make use of UV light, no, not every day, but at least once or every 2 weeks. So again, rooms are only allowed for use after 72 hours. So there is like a longer time na for housekeepers to really prepare the room, make sure that it's fully cleaned, spotless from every nook and cranny, and properly disinfected before the use of the next guest. Okay, and lastly, hotel transport vehicles. So the hotel car is sanitized every after use. The driver is well oriented with gas handling and is wearing a mask and gloves at all times. Sanitation kits are available inside the vehicle, of course, no, for the use of both the driver and the guests. Extra masks and sanitizers are also available and provided in the vehicle so that if there is a need to replace their mask or need to sanitize every once in a while, so that has to be available inside the vehicle. So everywhere you go, no, actually the pandemic made us into germaphobes. So everywhere we go, there has to be like sanitation kits or masks, because that's a new normal, no. And I believe it is now our second nature to always sanitize, always disinfect. It's already ingrained in our day-to-day operations, and even after the pandemic, no, this is still going to be practiced, because this helps, no, not just in making sure that there will be no transmission of COVID, but in other harmful diseases as well. Okay, so the second one is tech adoption in the hospitality industry. Um, it's one way that we can adapt in the new normal, because again, no, technology became more prominent because of COVID-19. No? Technology has came in a long way of making the lives of people easier, and maybe it's the perfect time to embrace technology a little more, especially that with technology it can help, prevent person-to-person contact, and can also make the operations far more easier and convenient for not just the hotel staff but also to the guests, and you know hospitality industry has already embraced into different technological advancements, or has invested into sophisticated technology like what I've mentioned earlier. You can unlock your room using Bluetooth, or there is even a technology wherein you can avail different services in the hotel, such as turning on the television using your smartphone. So no need for you to actually touch the remote control in the room, provided in your hotel room, because you can just use your smartphone to do that. other hotels are investing into digital advertising, which has been there before the pandemic pa, and tablets for menus and ordering, so that it would be easier for everyone, no? Because coronavirus is contactless, no, and it is also important now that we also invest into technology. So let us start first with contactless communication. So Nevotech is a tech firm that specializes in hospitality solutions. They develop and release a guest engagement technology that effortlessly syncs with the pre-existing property management system of the hotel. So an example of Nevotech that I mentioned earlier is that you will no longer use the remote control. You will just scan the QR code in the smartphone, and automatically you can change channels, no? Go to Netflix, go to YouTube, go to online using the smartphone with using your smartphone with Nevo Touchless. So you can be in sync with the hotel's television using your smartphone, and you can even communicate to hotel staff in real time, no, without even downloading an additional app. No, you can communicate with hotel staff through your favorite messaging app like WhatsApp, WeChat, no, a Messenger, no, with Nevotech. So it can sync with the existing property management system of the hotel. Okay, and you can even download paper digest, order room service with your smartphone. So there's no need for you to touch, the hotel telephone or the remote control. Okay, and again, it's less hassle. No, you don't need to download any additional app for your phone. So Devo Touchless from the same firm makes things easier by allowing guests to access hotel services using their own mobile devices. Okay, and like what I said earlier, no, hotels are into contactless transactions such as scanning QR codes and self check-in. So there are also hotels that are providing self check-in kiosk, wherein instead of lining or going to the front desk, so you can just um, do a self check-in with the following kiosk just in the premises of the hotel, no, or you can be provided with a QR code and you can fill out all of your details, and that will be saved in the customer database of the hotel. Okay. Also, hospitality industry are into robotic maids right now, no. Robots have been continually finding applications in several areas each day. They may not be as advanced as the robots that you see in Star Wars or in the Iron Man franchise, but these robotic machines can get the work done in hotels, no, in different sectors. So they've been quite prominent as well, no, during the start of the pandemic because it can reduce person-to-person contact. And one of these examples are from the South Korea-based telecom company called KT Corporation. So they release a second-gen Giga Jenny Hotel robot, which is designed to improve service delivery. And this robot provides like basic amenities like fresh towels, water bottles, and you can even dispose your garbage. Like for example, if you see like Jenny robot or Nbot in the hotel lobby, like just walking around, and you have like a empty bottle in hand, you can just um get rid of your trash, with the help of the Nbot. Like they have like a built-in trash compartment. So an example of this is the Nbot, which is already used now in the Novotel Ambassador Dongdaemun hotels and residences. And this is not only limited to hotel rooms, no. Even Katie has developed a robot that can help deliver your drinks and food, no. But this is not actually no, the concept is not new, no. Although we see a lot of this one in other hotels, like in Sheraton. You also see robots transporting luggages. So there's no need for a bellboy na. And also, this concept was actually developed way back the pandemic pa, no? You see sushi restaurants in Japan wherein it's self-service. You can choose your own menu, or like for example, if you like to order sashimi, no, there's a tablet just beside your table, and you could just click, no, and then choose your your sushi or sashimi, and then it will be delivered to you through conveyor belts, no? And then when you're done eating, then you can just, place back those plates in the conveyor belts again, no? And that's the future of the hospitality industry, no? We are relying now on robotics to deliver basic amenities, basic like conduct basic functions in the hotel so that it can lessen person-to-person contact. Okay, next one is predictive maintenance. So we have already seen smart energy management systems that can help hoteliers manage and optimize energy consumption. Now, try to think of a similar system such as that one, but it's more on identifying hazards and issues before they even happen. Okay, so um, predictive maintenance, so make use of sensor data so that hoteliers can recognize hazardous trends, and they can anticipate components that are almost breaking down and be able to replace them before the damage has been done, so it can actually prevent further damage or further inconveniences to hotel guests, no? So other hotels are looking into that, no, predictive maintenance systems. The next one is IoT, no, or Internet of Things. So IoT smart sensors have been a popular trend already in in the hotel industry because a lot of them has noticed that they are benefiting from the incorporation of smart sensors. No, a Chinese company called Think Labs built a mobile-based IoT device that delivers tailored content to hotel guests. So the device is called a device is called Handy Features, a help desk useful in assisting with local language. It also provides information on local events. Other functions of IoT class can also be used in different areas, no, in the hotel, such as helping guests reserve parking spaces prior to their visit. So guests can be assured that they can drive into the hotels knowing that there is a space or a spot, no, reserved for them. Not only that, IoT is not only limited to helping or assisting you with your local language, but also it can um, help you be updated with the recent health and safety protocols of the hotel. So, it's more of like a handy concierge. And also, what is nice about the IoT is they also simplify very complex activities, no, such as designating duties to hotel staff. So it's not only the customer or the guest that can benefit from IoT, but even um, the hotel itself. It can improve their day-to-day operations. No? So, for example, if you designate duties to hotel staff and harmonizing housekeeping systems, IoT or the smart sensors and IoT can help with that. And of course, cloud technologies. No, let's admit, no, cloud technologies are not exactly new technology, no, because they have been around for a while, no. In fact, other hotels probably have utilized na cloud technologies, but many businesses in the hospitality industry are now relying into cloud technologies more in the start of the pandemic because it can help them store customer databases, and it can also help them improve their overall operations and can deliver customer satisfaction. So some of these technologies are not really expensive. No, even small hotels can innovate. No, can keep up with the trends in technologies because it's not like everyone can invest into robotics or into predictive management systems or predictive maintenance systems. But as simple as providing QR codes, or when you pay, you make use of GCash or online banking or Pay Maya. No, that's an example now of innovating or upgrading your day-to-day operations in the hotel. You don't need to invest or really buy sophisticated technology in order to keep up. As long as there are so many ways in where you can also adapt to technology, even if you are a very small hotel, no, you can keep up with innovations with simple like such as cloud technologies. So just pause that one. Okay. So again, no, just like safety and sanitation, technology will also become our second nature now because it can help provide safer guest experiences. No? And this can also help increase in rebuilding the trust and confidence of our stakeholders because they feel nga I will no longer have to wait in line or fill out forms or touch surfaces because the hotel are into contactless transactions now. They have QR codes or they make use of different technologies to ensure that it's safe and to ensure that I won't be exposed to different risks. Okay? So here is an example in how technology will improve and make safer guest experiences at resorts. So try to look at this video from Advanced Hospitality Technology. Okay, so that is from Advanced Hospitality Technologies. Okay, so again though, hospitality sector is one of the many industries that have been hit by the pandemic with customer experience being redefined. So with more data privacy and regulations being affected now in the hospitality industry, so the concerned businesses can only turn to technology to keep up. So we have no other way but to move forward, to really innovate. No? Now is the time for us to invest and to embrace technology even more. And that is why it's really important that the hospitality sector, develops and implements innovative trends to meet with consumer expectations and with better staff satisfaction. So in that turn, with technology, these involved businesses can improve customer experience. So that's the second one on how we can adapt in the new normal, adopting technology in the hospitality industry. The third one is, of course, building trust. And again, building the trust and confidence of your customers is the key to building a successful brand. Again, you have to make sure that your staff knows what they're doing. Okay, and in order to do that, you have to make sure that the staff in the hotel are properly trained, and of course, not only that, but you also need to be transparent in how you do the day-to-day operations in the hotel. One way that could really recover their trust is they know what you're doing in the hotel. Like, this is how we store the food, this is how we disinfect or sanitize surfaces, this is how we follow health and safety protocols. Like, there's an assurance that you're doing everything to keep them safe during their stay with you. So you post everything on social media. That is what TPB is doing right now. In their recovery campaign, they're really posting videos on YouTube and in their Facebook page, informing tourists that we're doing everything, or that the TPB, DOT, and different tourism sectors are doing everything to ensure your safety once you travel in the Philippines. So you have to be really transparent. You have to inform them on what are the changes now in your operations in the hotel, how you process the food, or how you make sure that you disinfect the room, everything. Okay, an example of that is the new normal AVP from the Bellevue Resort in Panglao, Bohol. No, and they really make sure that they provide the guest with a detailed information on how they do things now in the new normal. So here's an example. Okay, so that is the new normal AVP at the Bellevue Resort. Okay, so that shows transparency, how they do things in the hotel now that it's the new normal. So another way of rebuilding trust and confidence to your customers in the hospitality industry is also making sure that the hotel staff are fully vaccinated against COVID. So it's way of ensuring that the people that are working in the hotel, the staff here that are serving you, are fully vaccinated and are protected against COVID. And as of now, from Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, just recently she reported that there is at least 92% of fully vaccinated tourism workers now in our industry, which is good, no? And that's our preparation for the reopening, actually opening, opening of the tourism industry. Okay, the third one is, of course, the issuance of certificate of authority to operate for staycation. So this was way back in 2020, wherein DOT has granted several hotels, star-rated hotels, um, that has already met their standards, has already met the health and safety protocols, and has proven they can provide quality service. So some of these hotels are Okada Hotel, Grand Hyatt, Shangri-La at the Fort, Nobu Hotel, Makati Shangri-La. So that's one way of ensuring that you're safe in staying in Makati Shangri-La or in Okada because we have been granted a certificate to operate. If we given the go signal by DOT, we can now accept guests, and that means that we have already met the standards, health and safety protocols. Okay, and the last one on how we can adapt to the new normal is still continue the true Filipino hospitality. I think we cannot lose that hospitality touch, even in the midst of the pandemic. No, we are people who deal with people because we are a very service-oriented industry, and we do that on a daily basis. So we need to welcome guests as the same. No, in these times we just need to do it with restrictions, in terms of spacing, but this should not mean that we should serve less or we should show less heart, it means that we should do even more. Even there are restrictions and spaces and person to person contact, but we should not lose that true Filipino hospitality. We should still continue to make them feel the trademark warmth of the Filipino hospitality. So we can do that again, like what I've said. You can greet them with a smile. You can smile with your eyes. You can greet them with a mabuhay gesture. Um, Show them that you're very eager to assist. No, although you can keep your distance, but at least you're always ready to help them anytime. No, that's the true mark of the Filipino hospitality. And as a hoteliers, I know you know this. Okay, so before I will end my discussion this afternoon, COVID 19 will always have a significant impact on our daily life. Well, nothing will ever be the same as it was before the pandemic. Um, we're constantly changing, we're constantly adapting because, you know, it what we live right now is not the same as it was before. But perhaps, like Catriona Gray, let's see this one as a silver lining. Perhaps these changes will grant more opportunities in the future and more inventions, more innovations. And that is a future that is worth striving for. So on behalf of Colegio de Santa Rita de San Carlos Incorporated, thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I do hope that you were able to learn something from my talk today. So maraming salamat and keep safe, everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Cybele Ann, for sharing with us with your time and knowledge and a very informative topic. So how about your partner?
Well, partner, hearing from the talk of our speaker, for sure everyone learned a lot, got some knowledge, holistic issues are stated, and all of us are educated.
Now, let's proceed for the Q&A portion.
For those who would like to ask questions to our speaker, please comment it down in the Zoom chat box. Thank you.
Hi everyone, do you have questions that you would like to ask?
Okay, ma'am. I have one question here I prepared. How did you cope up working in the times of pandemic?
Okay, so how did I cope up in the times of pandemic? Actually, to be honest, it was a difficult time for me because we were moving towards work from home setup, and we had to adapt to different changes. No, I work in the academe. Um, from the very beginning, after I graduated in college, I work in the academe, and I was really not prepared when the pandemic hit. No, and um, the best thing that I can do at that time is I I adapted. No, I became flexible. There was no room for me to complain anymore because no matter how much I complain, no, my situation will not change. So, best thing that I did at that time is I tried to learn a new skill. Like for example, we were asked to have our classes online, or for example, we were asked to provide like infographics because we need to advertise everything na online. So I learned a new skill. I was into um, graphics, editing, or I was into um, learning how to record sessions, how to upload videos in YouTube, or for example, how to make use of video conferencing, and also learning how to make use of learning management systems. So I stopped whining and complaining, and I was more into how can I fully adapt? How can I be flexible in this time of the pandemic? Like how can I um, make sure that I can still be able to continue to work even though that I had some difficulties adjusting. So that's what I did. No, I learned different ways on how to adapt, on how to be flexible. I do hope that I answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Miss.
Thank you. You have some more questions that you would like to ask?
Anyone?